Well, hello my friends and welcome to a long overdue, brand new episode of Dunswell Zoo. I'm of course JW. How have you all been? I hope you've all been well. It's certainly been a while since the last video. I've been working on Eastlake sort of in the background, and I've also been continuing with my studies. Just as a recap for those of you who aren't aware, I am studying to be a zookeeper. I'm currently on my 8th unit. I've just got the essays to do for Unit 8 now, out of 12 units in total. And I've just come back from my practical placement, which was a week at Blackpool Zoo. If you want to see any of the content from that, you need to go follow my other Instagram. So I've got an Instagram for Everything Planet Zoo, which is @JW_YT. And then I've also got an Instagram for everything else sort of wildlife and zookeeping related, which is @Wildlife with Josh. Used to be @JW Wildlife Photography, but it's now @Wildlife with Josh. So yeah, I've been very busy. So between studying and the zoo placement and working on Eastlake in the background and doing a wildlife pond and just work, which is my Monday to Wednesday, 8:30 till 6:30, which is disappointing, but there it is. I've been quite busy, but I've got 2 weeks off. So 1 week obviously spent at Blackpool doing the zoo placement. The second week is when I've recorded all this, including this voiceover. So I'm back at work next week, unfortunately, but hey ho. No rest for the wicked, as they say. But yeah, I hope you've all been well. I do feel I've neglected the Planet Zoo side of things a little bit, but it's great to sort of get back in and use all that inspiration to build a brand new habitat. So this habitat, what we're building, it should be for the yellow-tailed woolly monkey, which is a species, or subspecies rather, of woolly monkey found in the Andean mountain range. There isn't a mod for that at the moment, but I wanted to get the Adventure Andes area done, so we've gone for the grey woolly monkey instead. There is a mod for that, and that's found in the cloud forests of Bolivia, Brazil and Peru. The grey woolly monkey has unfortunately been classed as endangered since 2008 due to a 50% decrease in population over the last 45 years due to hunting, deforestation and the illegal pet trade. So as I've just said, they do live in cloud forests, which is a type of forest that is under cloud cover for most of the year. They spend the majority of their time in the trees in search of food. They very rarely come down to the ground, but with it being Planet Zoo, you will see them on the ground an awful lot. They have a prehensile tail, which is a common trait, and they are capable of hanging from their tails, and they do often use them to bridge the gap between trees when they're travelling through the treetops, which is really sort of cool. Primarily they eat fruit, but when fruit is scarce they will eat young leaves and sometimes seeds as well. And the group size for grey woolly monkeys, you're looking at between, on average, 11 and 25. I think we get 9 in total, so that does allow for some breeding and for some new members to join that group as well. And these groups are made up of mixed ages and mixed sexes as well. The groups move together and they do show very little aggression towards other groups, and they do often share feeding spots with other groups as well, which is sort of really nice and somewhat unique as well within monkeys, primates, because generally it's a lot of territory, a lot of dominance, a lot of no, this is mine sort of thing. So it's really nice to see that they aren't that aggressive to other groups. Unfortunately, they are threatened, they're endangered. They're hunted for food and for pets. The females are often targeted in hunting as they are shot and then their offspring are taken and sold as pets, so it's like a 2-for-1 sort of deal. in less than 2 years, there were several hunters within the Amazon rainforest that killed more than 200 woolly monkeys, which led to a local extinction. So that's how under threat these guys are. So even though they're not the yellow-tailed woolly monkeys that would have been more appropriate for the Adventure Andes area, their presence at the zoo is still really important to sort of raise awareness for the threats that they face and to have that backup population in captivity so that they can be returned to the wild should the habitat become available and sustainably and is sustainable to do so. Deforestation is another major threat as well. They mine for cassiterite, I believe it's called, which is a mineral that's used to make tin. So yeah, it's really sort of sad stuff. They are protected in many national parks. Obviously, we all know that these aren't monitored as closely as they should be, and there will still be illegal hunting, illegal collection for the pet trade, illegal deforestation, and illegal mining, and so on and so forth. Even the legal mining, where it's all sort of government approved, that's having an impact as well. And we all know what the situation is with the world at the moment, where I'm not going to get too political, but governments tend not to represent the will of the people these days, which was the whole point of a government. But I digress. So what you're seeing on screen now is the indoor housing for the grey woolly monkeys. And then we've quickly shot outside to do the water. I wanted it to be sort of realistic looking. So we go for a bit of a greeny colour, so a bit of algae, but a darker green, so it looks quite deep, would be the impression to give off. And then I've just got all the different enrichment that this species uses, and we're just plopping it in, and we'll build the habitat around the enrichment rather than the usual way that I do it, where I put all the planting in and all the rock work and then we squeeze the enrichment in where we can. I'm just putting the enrichment in first and then we'll put everything else around it. So I wanted a massive sort of rock structure in the middle of the habitat, and I wanted it to look like one giant piece of rock rather than several rocks sort of stacked together. And I think I've managed to pull it off. When it's done, you sort of can't really tell anyway. Now here I am using blueprints from other Planet Zoo players to sort of add climbing structures and various sort of points of interest. It's mainly just climbing structures in all honesty. Yeah, like the dead trees, they're sort of a point of interest, but it's also a climbing structure. I can't remember at this particular moment in time who created these blueprints. I will put them in the description of the video though. I will find out and I'll put them in the description of the video. So as far as grey woolly monkeys in zoos are concerned, there aren't many. They're notoriously difficult to breed in captivity, and they suffer from a number of health issues like hypertension and pre-eclampsia. Don't ask me what they are, I just know that that's what they suffer from. However, in the United Kingdom we have somewhere called Monkey World, which is like a giant rescue centre for monkeys, primates. You've probably seen the series on TV at some point with... Oh, do you know, I forget her name now. There's a woman. So the guy was called Jim, but he died. And then there was his wife, who's an American woman. Might be Alison. Yeah, she sort of runs Monkey World now. They have a healthy breeding population of grey woolly monkeys, and it is the only breeding population outside of South America that works to care for and rehabilitate confiscated monkeys, which I think's brilliant. It's it's somewhat sad that there are so few zoos in the world that have this species, especially when they're endangered, and they're such a victim of the illegal pet trade because they're quite docile for primates and monkeys. So it is quite sad that they don't have that representation within captivity. So there is Monkey World in the UK, and that is a breeding population. And there's also Apenhoul, or Apenhoul. I'm not sure how we're pronouncing that. It's in the Netherlands. They have kept woolly monkeys since 1999, and they've kept them on an island to ensure that they have a stable and natural environment. And yeah, I've gone for an island as well, partly inspired by some of the various primate habitats that I saw while I was working at Blackpool Zoo. The gibbons have an island, the marmosets have an island, the tamarins have an island, the spider monkeys have an island. So a lot of the primates there have sort of island enclosures. And yeah, I just really wanted to sort of give them what would be a realistic habitat for them in the wild, but also draw upon what I've seen, what I've experienced, and things like that. What you see in here now, I've put the mesh in. That's going to be an offshore indoor area, and then we've got an onshore indoor area, and then we've got two corridors, one that only the keepers can access, and then one that the keepers and the primates can access. In this case, it is of course the woolly monkeys. Planet Zoo being Planet Zoo, the woolly monkeys can't actually access that second corridor, and nor can the keepers. So it is just a little bit of dead space, but it looks the part, so I've kept it in. And we're now putting some one-way glass in to give the woolly monkeys their privacy, because they are really prone to stress, unfortunately. So getting them as comfortable as possible is the better sort of situation. When designing your woolly monkey habitats, if you ever find yourself designing woolly monkey habitats, they 100% have to have a social structure. So females need a social structure from a family group to learn how to rear their young. Obviously this is something that's quite challenging to replicate in captivity, but two places have been quite successful in doing it, which is Apenhoul, or Apenhoul, and then obviously Monkey World in the UK. I don't think there's anywhere else. Let's have a look. In America, there's 3 places that have them. In Brazil, which is Centro Nacional de Primatas, Zoológico de Brasilia, and Ecological Park in São Carlos. And then in Asia, you've got Inuyama, which is the Japan Monkey Center, Nasu, which is the World Monkey Park, and Yokohama, which is Zoo Regia. Monkey World's not included in that list, of course, for some reason, and neither is Apenhoul, so it might be that information is no longer correct. But that's your grey woolly monkeys. They're actually really cute. It is a shame that they don't have more of a presence in captivity, just to raise awareness of what's going on with them, because they've been listed as endangered for, well, in 2028 it'll be in 2028 it'll be 2 decades that they've been listed as endangered, and a 50% decrease in population over the last 45 years. I'd imagine that has increased significantly due to the rate of deforestation and the exotic pet trade and things like that. which is really unfortunate. But I suppose it's also a good thing that they're not that prevalent in captivity, because having more of them in the wild is always the goal. So yeah, they are quite a large monkey. So male's head to body, not including the tail, is about 65 centimeters, and female head to body, again not including the tail, it's about 58, including the tail. So sorry, just the tail. You're looking at about 68 centimeters. And then males weigh on average about 9 to 10 kilos. Females weigh on average about 7 to 8 kilos. So yeah, grey monkeys are a subspecies of the common woolly monkey. The common woolly monkey itself is vulnerable. So regardless of whether it's the nominate species or subspecies, they're not faring well at all, unfortunately. Anyway, onto some slightly better tones. I'm just putting a load of backstage stuff in here. It's not something I really do much because people don't really see it, but I was really sort of feeling it. I wanted to fully create something that looked used and practical, and hopefully that's what I've achieved here. Just adding some sort of boxes. You can imagine that's what the food was delivered in the morning, and then we had a hose as well, which, having cleaned out habitats, let me tell you, having a hose is a godsend. We've got like a rake, a turning fork. That's like a foot bath, so you can disinfect your feet before you enter and exit the habitat. And then here I tried a few different materials to create a canopy, because I didn't want the sun creating any glare on the glass. But I went for I think it's the Fiesta. I went for some of that, just changed the pink to blue, and then put some sort of, I think it's the African unpainted timber, I put that in. Something nice and rustic. And then I just put a little bit of detail in the top, just because I had the time and I was feeling it, I was in the moment, I was creating the habitat. It turned out sort of exactly as I wanted it to turn out. I put the metal framing at the front just to sort of hold it together, and then we put some hooks in, and we go ahead and put some rope in as well, and then after that we will move to the cinematics. So I shall say now, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for sticking with the channel if you have stuck with the channel. There will be plenty more content on the way, it's just finding the time to do it. Still loving Planet Zoo, loving training to be a zookeeper, 100% something I want to be doing sort of this time next year. And yeah, just thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay kind, enjoy the cinematics which are coming up, and I shall see you next time. Enjoy, thank you, and bye bye for now.